Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a very special online event today. It's called How to Trust After Betrayal. Rebuild inner safety and confidence with a powerful four-part process. My name is Stephen Dine. I'm the founder and president of the Shift Network, and today is really an important event because so many people get frozen up in their growth and development, their relational field, when something big and damaging happens, and it can be really hard to move forward again in a good way. So we're really lucky to have a world expert in how to transform this situation. Her name is Dr. Debi Silber. She's the founder and CEO of the Post-Betrayal Transformation Institute. She's taught for Shift before to wide acclaim and is really helps us go to the heart of this process in a way that really helps people move on and ultimately blossom as a result of whatever hardship that we've gone through. So Dr. Debi, thank you so much for joining us again today.
Thank you so much, Stephen. I am so looking forward to being part of this again.
Great. Well, we're excited for today, and I also want to let everybody know that we have a brand new program with Dr. Debi called Post-Betrayal Transformation that is coming up, and we'll share more about that towards the end of the hour, which if you want to go further, it's a great opportunity to do so. So, Dr. Debi, let's talk about, first of all, your backstory. I always find it's helpful to understand the context of why you've committed your life to this work. So it really gives people a sense of what the source motivation is for you.
Yeah, I don't think anybody says, "Oh, betrayal. I think I want to study that topic." No, you do it because you have to. So it was really two painful betrayals. One from my family. I thought I did everything I needed to do to heal from that, and then it happened again a few years later. This time it was my husband. That was the deal breaker. And then I didn't find out. Usually I look to courses or books or something to help me learn my way out of something. And I couldn't find anything, and I couldn't afford to stay stuck. I had 4 kids, 6 dogs, a business. So I decided this was so big, I need to study it in such a big way. So I enrolled in a PhD program in transpersonal psychology. And while I was there, I did a study. I studied betrayal simply to help me heal so I could be there for my kids, my clients. And that study led to 3 groundbreaking discoveries, which changed my health, my family, my work, my life. And then how do you learn something like that and keep it to yourself? So the rest is history.
I'm glad that you're sharing it then. So let's talk a little bit about, your understanding of what betrayal is, maybe a multi-dimensional understanding, since I think we have like a sort of a quick understanding of, but it's like, I'm sure that your understanding runs much deeper.
I define it as the breaking of a spoken or unspoken rule, and every relationship has them. So the way it works is the more we trust and the more we depend on someone, the deeper the betrayal. So let's say a child who's completely dependent on their parent, and then the parent does something really painful. That's going to have a different impact than, let's say, your best friend sharing your secret. But what's so different about betrayal is this was the person, or these were the people who gave us a sense of safety and security. So when this is the person, or these are the people to take that very sense of safety and security away, it's traumatizing. It's traumatizing. It's a shock to the body, mind, and spirit.
So maybe to talk a little bit about some of those repercussions when it's a shock to the body, mind, and spirit. What are some of the things that are typically happen as a result to compensate for that shock?
Yeah, well, we'll see it typically. I mean, this is just generally how we'll see it in work, in health, in relationships. In relationships, we'll see an unhealed betrayal in 2 ways. The first way, a repeat betrayal. Classic sign it's unhealed. The face has changed, but it's the same thing. This is classic unhealed betrayal. The second way we see it in relationships is the big wall goes up. And we're like, no way, we're not taking that chance of risking that level of vulnerability. That pain was too big. That's not healed, that's hardened. So that's how we know it's unhealed in relationships. In our health, we can go to the most well-meaning, incredible doctors, coaches, healers, therapists to manage a stress-related symptom, illness, condition, disease. At the root of it is an unhealed betrayal, and we see it at work, where you deserve that raise or promotion, you want it, but your confidence was shattered, so you don't have the confidence to ask. Or you want to be a team player, collaborative partner, but the person you trusted the most proved untrustworthy. How do you trust your boss, your coworker, your partner? It's showing up everywhere.
So we talk a lot about spiritual development, soul levels. I wonder, like, what do you notice in terms of the impact on somebody's sense of spirituality, connection,
Oh.
larger connection to the universe?
It is shattered. And it's so interesting because even in the study, I saw that there was a real strong move towards spirituality, whether it was the spiritual side of your religion, whatever that was. Some abandoned religion completely and just moved towards spirituality. And it was because betrayal shatters that sense of connection, that sense of trust, our self-trust. So one of the first things we do is we're like, well, I don't trust the person I trusted the most. I don't even trust in myself. Maybe I can trust in something bigger other than me. So it's a huge, huge part of healing.
So let's talk about, so how do you start to unwind that and understand the opportunity to transform it?
Yeah, there's tremendous opportunity. And this is what's missed so often. When we look at betrayal as we are cracked wide open. And that's when the light shines in, right? So when we look at it as an opportunity, as a catalyst for transformation, that's trauma well served. But here's what happens: betrayal shatters us on every level: physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. So all of those areas need to be addressed and need to be healed, because it's not just a shattering of life as we've known it. It's a shattering of the self. That's why betrayal is a different type of trauma, because think about it. When you lose someone you love, let's say, you grieve, you're sad, you mourn the loss, life will never be the same. But you don't necessarily question that relationship. You don't question your ability to trust. You don't question your sanity. With betrayal, you do, because of all of the pieces of the self that have been shattered, that all can be rebuilt, and rebuilt so much better. Did that answer your question?
Yeah. So it sounds like part of what's happening then, because this happens in the most trusted relationship, there's little tendrils of yourself that are kind of anchoring through other people, and then it's like that, removing that also does kind of like sever a literal part of yourself then.
Oh, a big part of ourselves. And think about it: safety and security, these are basic needs. And these were the people that we felt safe and secure with. So the bottom has truly bottomed out on us. And especially in the early stages, that bottom hasn't been formed yet again. So it's absolutely traumatizing. But what's so beautiful about betrayal, and I know now everybody's like, oh, she's crazy. No, hear me out. What's so beautiful about it is there were so many parts of us that were, yes, beautiful, but maybe we didn't speak up. Maybe boundaries weren't in place. Maybe we just were accepting less than what we deserve, whatever that is. And what betrayal does is it gives you that opportunity to look at every thought that comes into your head, and you take all the parts you love, but you say, does that thought serve? No, it's not coming with me. Does that belief serve? No, it's not coming along. And what you are doing is you are intentionally and deliberately creating a version of you that you wouldn't have had the ability to create otherwise.
Hmm. So I wonder when is the right timing to even have the conversation around opportunities or potential sort of, upsides in this process? Because I imagine if you bring that forward with somebody who's gone through betrayal too early, it's just going to feel like a rejection or of their experience, which is probably not maybe looking at potential opportunities or growth opportunities in it initially.
Absolutely. And one of the three discoveries that was made was that there are these 5 stages we go through if we are to fully heal. Most people get stuck in stage 3. And I know I'll be sharing the stages at a later point. But there is a place for everything. Like there's a place where you're actually looking at the benefit of this experience for what it gives you. Now, of course, like you said, if you bring something like that up too early, it backfires every time. Like forgiveness. If you bring that up too early, it backfires every time. We're not ready for it. Every stage has its own set of what we need to do in order to move from one stage to the next. And when it's in that right order, it's well received. We're ready for it. We build upon it. But when it's out of order, it just backfires.
That's really good wisdom because I think a lot of people's discomfort with maybe the early stages leads them to try to like push the process, and that creates backfire. So it sounds like we're just being really patient with that unfolding that process. If we're not the person who was betrayed, or that we're just being patient with that unfolding is really important.
It is. And while patience is important, I would say what's even more important is willingness. because the more willing we are to move through what we never saw coming, what we never thought we'd have to experience, one of the greatest pains we can ever experience, if we're willing, we will start moving through the stages. Because I have the proof, time does not heal betrayal. We've had hundreds of thousands of people that we've assessed, and they say things like, my betrayal happened 35 years ago, I'm unwilling to trust. My betrayal happened 40 years ago, I can still feel the hate. So we know we can't count on time. We can't even count on a new relationship to heal it. So it's a willingness to move through the stages along with everything we need to do at every stage. That's what's going to not only help us heal, transform.
I wonder if you can just illuminate a little bit, like, why do those betrayal experiences anchor in so long term? Because a lot of other memories do fade. So why is it that 35 years later, people are still like really sort of, they're like, I'm not going there again, or, why is it sort of etched so deeply in?
Yeah, and it's because of actually the second discovery. There's this collection of symptoms, physical, mental, and emotional, so common to betrayal. It's known as post-betrayal syndrome. We have symptoms that we carry, and here's where they won't just heal with time. You can have, I remember we had a member in our program. She was in her mid-80s and she had a 70+ year digestive issue. So common with betrayal to have a digestive issue. In fact, 45% of everyone betrayed has one. Crohn's, IBS, diverticulitis, you name it. And for 70+ years, she had a digestive issue. 2 weeks into healing the actual betrayal, healed from the 70+ year digestive issue. It's because we're sort of hacking away at the leaves and not getting to the root of the issue, which is the betrayal. Until and unless we deal with the real issue, the issues are in the tissues. We're sort of, suppressing or numbing, and we're not truly healing.
That's really fascinating. Can you share a little bit more about some of the other aspects of post-betrayal syndrome so that people can understand what symptoms might be showing up as part of that?
Yeah, sure. So I can even read some stats here. So now imagine over 100,000 people. As much as I'm going to share the symptoms, hear these numbers. 78% constantly revisit their experience. 81% feel a loss of personal power. Think about what a loss of personal power would do to your decision-making, things like that. 80% are hypervigilant. That's how you know your nervous system is completely dysregulated. 94% deal with painful triggers. The most common physical symptoms: 71% have low energy, 68% have sleep issues, 47% have weight changes. In the beginning, you can't hold food down. Later on, real common to be emotionally eating, using food for comfort. Some of the most common mental symptoms: 78% are overwhelmed, 64% are in shock, 62% can't concentrate. So just think about that. You can't concentrate. Let's say you have a digestive issue, you're exhausted, and you're trying to go through your day. Maybe you're working, maybe you're raising kids, whatever, that's not even emotionally. Emotionally, 88% experience extreme sadness. 82% are very angry. And think about what that does to your energy when you're bouncing back and forth between those two all day long. 79% are stressed, just a few more. 84% have an inability to trust. 80. Think about what an inability to trust will do to future relationships, to any sort of connection. 67% prevent themselves from forming deep relationships because they're afraid of being hurt again. They put the big wall up. 82% find it hard to move forward. 90% want to move forward, but they don't know how.
Those are very dramatic statistics. And I'm wondering, for the people that are part of that 100,000, is that just a self-reported experience of betrayal, or do you have kind of like boundaries of like what, is like, as you were saying, is like a friend who confesses a secret to somebody else is one level of betrayal, and there's other much higher ones. So where do all those stats come from in terms of the level of betrayal?
Yeah, we asked them where the betrayal came from, and it's the ones that seem to get us the most are the family members and the partners. Mm-hmm. Friends will infuriate us. We'll be so angry, but they don't break us. Of course, we're never broken, bent like the family members or the partners. Now, what's even more staggering about those numbers, you didn't hear me say 20%, 30%. The numbers are super high. They're also not necessarily representative of a recent betrayal. This could be from the parent who did something awful when you were a kid. This could be from the partner who broke your heart in high school. So think about how this person may not know, care, remember. They may not even be alive. And here we are, decades later, with these symptoms that we've been spending years numbing and suppressing because of something left unhealed. The good news is you can heal from all of it.
That's dramatic that it takes that it doesn't necessarily decline over time. So let's talk now about your 4-part trust rebuilding process, and maybe paint first the big picture, and then you can walk us through how to know where we are and what's next.
Yeah. So think about how betrayal shatters trust. This was the person you trusted the most. So now the natural thinking is, well, if I can't trust the person I trusted the most, how can I even trust myself? Where was I? How did I not see? How did I not know? So now if I can't trust the person I trusted the most, and I don't trust myself, how in the world can I trust in anything and anyone? So this is why not only is trust shattered with the person we trusted the most, self-trust is shattered, and trust in anything and anyone is shattered. So what we typically do, so that's big picture, what happens. But what we typically do is we're in so much pain, and this feeling is so uncomfortable that we just want to give that trust back. It doesn't work like that. And what happens is, until and unless we build a rock solid foundation upon which that trust can truly live, it's shaky and unstable. So the 4-part trust rebuilding process is when we build it again from the ground up. And people ask me all the time, can trust be repaired? I say no. Can it be rebuilt? Yes, it can. So the 4-part trust rebuilding process is we have to build the very foundation again. And I'm talking as foundational as like, will the sun rise? Because when trust is shattered, we don't trust anything. So, let's just take that one. Will the sun rise? I don't know. I don't trust anything. Well, every morning, go look out your window, and until you can firmly believe, you know what, I'm believing that the sun will rise. Okay, foundation is built. Stand on that foundation. Once you have that, you're ready for the next level. And the next level is starting to believe again in your wise inner guide that was trying to guide you all along. And if you notice, we tend to turn down the volume of that and we listen to our ego, which is sort of jabbering, and our wise inner guide speaks much differently. It will never speak over that gibberish. It'll speak in just a few words, and if we listen, we'll hear it, and it's profound. But it also comes in feelings, and when we're building up this next level, it's helpful to assess what a feeling of trust feels like and what a feeling of a lack of trust feels like. So when you think about it, what feels like trust to you? Nature, animals, 2 babies giggling, whatever it is. Think about what trust represents for you and how does it feel in your body? Where do you feel it? Does it feel open and expansive? Right? Where do you feel it? How does it feel? And I'm purposely not giving you something to focus on because you have in your mind what trust feels like for you. When you feel that, lock that in because that's trust for you. Now, you want to feel what a lack of trust feels like. So maybe it's D-Day, Discovery Day. Maybe someone was looking at you lying right to your face. Something did not feel safe. What did that feel like for you? Where did you feel it? How did it feel? Tight, constricted, closed, whatever that experience was, feel it, lock it in. That's going to represent what a lack of trust feels like for you. And as you're rebuilding trust on that second level, the first was the foundation. The second level is assessing, now that you have your levels of trust and a lack of trust, as you're moving through your day, which does it feel closer to? Now, it may not be the extremes of those two, but which one does it feel closer to? And learn to trust it. Your body is trying to tell you what trust feels like. And we need to strengthen that. I call that our inner BS guide. So once the foundation is built, now we build that trust in our wise inner guide again. Once we've done that, we need to rebuild self-trust because it's totally shattered. So the way we do that is we give ourselves little tasks and we do them, right? I'm going to say I'm going to make that phone call, and I do. I'm going to drink that glass of water, and I do. I'm going to do that workout, and I do. I will not call that person, and I don't, whatever it is. And what you're doing is you're training yourself that if you say something, you mean it. You're trustworthy. Your word is law. And there's a feeling of you have these sort of invisible bodyguards showing up for you. You trust the foundation upon which you're standing. You trust that wise inner guide, which is directing you closer to the feeling of trust or lack of trust. You're trusting in your own word, and you could feel the confidence and the sense of self power, the empowerment when you're trusting yourself from this place. From this place, you slowly and cautiously start trusting in others. That's the four-part
Yeah, can I ask a little bit more about that? I'm wondering why that gets so shattered in a betrayal. Let's say that you didn't do any deception and that a partner did a big deception. And so why would your own sense of self-trust of your word happen as a result of that?
Because we lose it. All aspects of trust are shattered, and we lose our ability to discern. We lose our ability to say, am I making a healthy decision, a good decision? I don't trust myself because how did I not see? How did I not know? How was I able to give 100% trust, feeling completely safe, and I could be that duped? I don't trust in myself anymore. I don't trust in my own ability to make healthy decisions.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's keep continuing with the four-part trust rebuilding process then.
Yeah. So that fourth part now is when we cautiously and carefully start rebuilding trust in others. So instead of giving that 100% complete trust, you start small. You start with, hey, I'll meet you at this one place at 3, and you see, did that work? Was that okay? How did I feel? Did that person show up? Can they hold true to what they say? We're not giving out those big levels of trust just yet. And I want to give another example of it too, because as it relates to the person who shattered the trust, and let's say you're trying to rebuild, this could be with a partner, a friend, a coworker, a family member, it doesn't matter. The way it works is I look at trust like a brick wall. Every opportunity someone has to show that they're trustworthy, that's one brick in that brick wall. So it could take a really long time to build. And then in one earth-shattering moment or series of moments, they take the brick wall and shatter it. And you're looking at this rubble of bricks, right? Now, you could say, I don't have the least bit of interest in watching that thing get rebuilt. Totally fine, you walk away. However, if you choose to be willing to watch the brick wall be rebuilt, that would be your role. The person who shattered it has to be a really good bricklayer. And it goes up the way it went up the first time, brick by brick by brick. But here's what I see. The person built the brick wall, excuse me, they shatter it. They don't really have much of an interest in putting in the effort to rebuild it. So the person whose trust was shattered and the person who's been betrayed is like, fine, I'll do it. No, that's not their role. That's why they never feel safe. That's why they feel hypervigilant. It wasn't theirs to rebuild.
So you kind of want to get out of like second guessing that somehow it's your job to rebuild that trust, or else you kind of get stuck in a loop there with them.
You are absolutely not responsible for rebuilding that trust that someone else shattered. If you have any intention or even the slightest bit of willingness, it would take you being willing to watch that brick wall be rebuilt.
So in a very fundamental way, this whole process isn't about, there's no outcome that you can control that's about rebuilding trust with that person because it depends on them rebuilding their walls. So you're wanting to just take away the generalization from other people in situations, and it may still be accurate to not trust that person if they didn't invest in rebuilding the wall.
Exactly. And this is the part that's so hard for so many people because they want that person so badly to be trustworthy. They want so badly for them to be remorseful or empathetic or have regret. And if they don't, you have very little to work with. But if someone it's been the biggest wake-up call of their lives, they're deeply remorseful. They can't even believe what they've done. They've seen the light, and they are willing to do whatever it takes to rebuild that trust. You have great potential to create a very new type of relationship when that's the case.
That's some really good distinctions you're making there. There are other key distinctions that are important for us to be aware of in this process. There are little pitfalls to avoid, like you're sharing right there.
Yeah, you can't want it more for someone than they want it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I see this so often where the betrayed, they're so heart-centered. They believe in that person so much that they're willing to do the work for them. And if nothing changes, nothing changes. That's the setup for repeat betrayals. That's the setup for no change. And there were 3 groups in my study who didn't heal. And I can tell you, there was the 3rd group. This was the group where the betrayer had very little consequences. So whether it was out of financial fear, religious reasons, not wanting to break up a family, whatever the reason was, they just tried to turn the other cheek, look the other way. And I saw 2 things with this group. Number 1, a further deterioration of the relationship. And 2, this group by far was the most physically sick.
That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it sounds like there also, if there's a overinvestment, that you try to prevent the consequences, but the consequences are part of the learning trajectory for that person.
Exactly. It's terrifying, the crash and burn of the old, but that's the only way to birth the new. And to close the loop on my story, whether that's you rebirth a new you, like with my family, it wasn't an option to rebuild with them. So I healed myself and moved along. Or if the situation lends itself, if you're willing, if you want to, you rebuild something from the ground up, brand spanking new, with the person who hurt you. And that's what I did with my husband, as 2 completely transformed people. Not long ago, we married each other again. New rings, new vows, new dress, and our 4 kids as our bridal party. Never in a billion years would I have done that if I didn't understand the transformative potential of both the betrayed and the betrayer, and if I didn't experience it firsthand.
Well, that's kind of a remarkable story. I think that, I mean, it sounds like there's a little bit of a risk in even that story of like, oh, perpetuating the sense, the hope of like, oh, they're going to do it, and maybe not creating the space for them that they have to do the work too, which I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did, but I'm just saying is that other people might hear that. It's like, oh, there's still hope and
Yeah.
and maybe lose some of that detachment that it sounds like is important.
That's it. I mean, we were done. That was it. And here's the thing. I'm a highly sensitive empath with integrity as my highest value. So there's not one cell in me that is ever okay with betrayal. So we were done. That was it. And the idea was, okay, I'm just going to heal, period. And I'm going to be there for my kids and my clients. And that was it. But when that happens, that could be the wake up call for the other person, where they say, well, I better step up my game to meet the strength of this person. And so, what we usually do is we're here and we just have this terrible, painful breakup, and we're like, oh, this is so bad, let me just go back. And we live this sort of out of the 5 stages from betrayal to breakthrough, the 3rd discovery, stage 3 life. But the potential is, we said, no, that's it. No. I'm moving to stages 4 and stage 5 without any idea of what this person's going to do. Now, if all we want is to make sure we stay connected with this person, what we'll do is sabotage our healing because we're afraid to outgrow this person, but we like it here. So then we say, well, why doesn't this person do this? Well, they're not ready. So then eventually, if we're committed to this, but we're still committed to this person, we get this kind of thing like, ooh. And eventually, you have this. So the whole idea is, and this is the scary part, you do this without any idea of what this person's going to do, because now it's all about you. This person, if they're willing, able, ready, they do this. Now you meet up again up here. This is a 2.0 relationship.
Mm-hmm. That's some really great distinctions there. And so you have to be kind of, sounds like probably a bit vigilant with yourself in that process, and notice where you're getting hooked in, where you might be sabotaging, where you might try to like get over involved with them, going through a healing process themselves.
Oh, you're so right. I've been in business 33 years, and there's one saying that holds true. I can't find a topic it doesn't work for. And it's hard now, easy later. Easy now, hard later. Take your pick. It's going to be one of those two. This process is all about hard now, easy later, because as I mentioned before, you're taking on every thought. Would the old me have tolerated this? Would the old me have said this? Would the old me have done this? Right? You're assessing all of it. And it's so hard because here's where you're making all of those changes that are so unfamiliar to you and everybody around you. But that's how you create that absolutely new dynamic.
Makes a lot of sense. Well, I know you also want to take us into a little bit of an experiential process here where people can take some of the concepts and ideas that you've been sharing and ground them in their own experience. So let's take that time now.
Yeah. So, the idea is because betrayal hits us on every level, like I said, physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, every single level of that needs to be assessed, needs to be addressed. And I think so often what we typically do once we've been betrayed, we go, let's say, to a therapist who may not be highly skilled in betrayal at all, well meaning, of course, and we're actually revisiting and re traumatizing and staying glued in the place we get stuck, which is stage 3. We may join a support group. But now think about it. We will sabotage our healing because we found our people. Right? We're medicating and suppressing the symptoms. So what we need to do is see what stage we're in, see where we are so that we know, first of all, the issues are in the tissues. We need to get the nervous system regulated again. We need to rewire our mindset because the beliefs that are formed are so painful. We need to just emotionally get regulated, change how we look at things, look at this as the opportunity that it can be. Spiritually, it's an incredible time to look at it like, what could be the benefit of this situation? And this is where spirituality comes in full force, because if you say that to someone who's not on board, they're like, what did you just say? So, when you look at it and say, what could be done with this? How could this be for my greater good? Right? There are so many things that we can potentially do with this experience. And then when we're out of our trauma, now we're in a position to rebuild a level of health we never could have had access to, rebuild new relationships, as like I mentioned, a very different relationship with the person who hurt you, or someone entirely new. You're ready for it now. New passion projects, new businesses. It's all birthed in those later stages when you've moved out of the trauma, for 2 reasons, actually. You have access to it now that you're in a different space. And you also look at it and say, if I can heal from that, what else can I do? It's endless.
Great. Well, did you want to lead us in a little meditation to kind of anchor that?
Sure. Okay. Well, here's what I would say. The first thing is, let's do this. Just take a nice deep breath and just get grounded and centered. And what I would like everybody to do is just take a moment and picture the version of you at your physical, mental, and emotional best, your personal and professional best. Just take a moment and picture that version of you. And once you've pictured that version of you, I want you to imagine, what's your energy like at your physical, mental, and emotional best, your personal and professional best. And once you've pictured your energy, I want you to picture your health. What's your health when you're at your physical, mental, and emotional best, your personal and professional best? And once you've pictured your health and your level of energy, I want you to picture, what are you wearing? What are you wearing when you're at your physical, mental, and emotional best, your personal and professional best? And once you've pictured what you're wearing, the color, the texture, the fabric, on that body, with that level of health, that energy, you're at your physical, mental, and emotional best, your personal and professional best. I want you to picture, what is it that you're doing? What are you doing? Wearing what you're wearing, on that body with that level of health, that level of energy, you're at your physical, mental, and emotional best, your personal and professional best. And once you've pictured what you're doing, wearing what you're wearing on that body with that level of health, that level of energy, I want you to picture who's with you. One person, many people, or no one, doing what you're doing, wearing what you're wearing on that body with that level of health and that level of energy. You're at your physical, mental, and emotional best, your personal and professional best. Who's with you? Picture it. And once you've pictured who's with you while you're doing what you're doing, wearing what you're wearing on that body with that level of health and that level of energy, you're at your physical, mental, and emotional best, your personal and professional best. I want you to picture you wrapping things up. And those people, that person or no one, they're walking away. What are they saying after having spent time with you in that way? You're at your physical, mental, and emotional best, your personal and professional best. What are they saying? How are they expressing the time they've spent with you? After you were doing what you were doing, wearing what you were wearing on that body with that level of health, that level of energy. You're at your physical, mental, and emotional best, your personal and professional best. And once they walk away, you're wrapping it up. You're wrapping it up and you're walking away. How are you feeling? What are the words you're using? What are the emotions that you have after doing what you've been doing with that person, those people, or no one, wearing what you were wearing on that body, that level of health, that level of energy? You're at your personal and professional best, your physical, mental, and emotional best. And once you've seen so clearly who you were with, what you were doing, how you looked, very slowly open up your eyes. And when you have time, write down exactly what you saw. That's the real you.
Beautiful. So once you've kind of articulated, we'll assume that people take a little time on their own to write that real you out. How does that become like an anchor point or support point for you to sort of better navigate those stages of betrayal?
Yeah, it's so helpful because everything happens in 3 stages. First, we envision it, then we express it, then we become. So, what this process did was do 2 out of the 3 things. Like when you think about anything in your space, look around, it went through those 3 processes, right? Somebody envisioned something, it was sort of expressed, and then it became a thing. It's the same thing with us. So, if we have our target, now we reverse engineer, like let's say you saw yourself with a certain haircut or a certain outfit on or doing a certain thing. Okay, like I remember doing this with someone and she was morbidly obese. She was at least 150, 200 pounds overweight. She saw herself mountain biking. Now, at where she was, she couldn't start mountain biking, but she could join an online mountain biking group. You see? So what you're doing is you're getting the process started.
Mm-hmm. And then how do you best continue it?
Yeah. Well, you continue it by seeing where you're at, reverse engineering and committing to what's the lowest hanging fruit? Where is it something that I said? Was it something that I did? Like if you saw yourself in a healthy, fit body, well, that had to start somewhere. If I saw myself wearing a certain outfit, can you shop for that outfit? Right. So, what steps can you start to take? That's just one of the many things that we do as we're rebuilding and transforming after betrayal.
Great. Well, let's talk a little bit. I know you also get into the notion of practical action plans as well. So designing a little bit more of an arc of a process for this rebuilding process, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe share a little bit about how do you start and start to really think about a game plan.
Yeah. You know, what I've seen so often is we really spend our time or our effort or our energy on, let's say, one of those aspects, the mental or the emotional, and we'll talk it out or something. And what truly works according to the right time, according to the stages, is when we're hitting each of those areas as we're ready for them. Like, for example, forgiveness. That's hugely important, but we can't bring that up too early. Again, that's one of those things that'll backfire every time. So let's say if we're in stage 2, shock trauma, D-Day, Discovery Day, we're going to need, that's when we need to regulate the nervous system. We can't think about transforming when when the bottom has bottomed out on us. So we need to address certain things based on where we're at. Stage 3, where we're stuck. We've survived our experience and we think that's all it gets. Well, we have to be really careful here because that's quicksand. Most people land and stay in stage 3. So here's where we really have to work on the mind. We have to work on the benefit of staying stuck. And I know that sounds crazy. Benefit. Yeah. You have your story and all that goes with it. And we're reluctant to get rid of that story until and unless we can imagine a better one, because that becomes our identity. So there are so many things we look for in stage 3. What are we numbing, avoiding, distracting? If so, how? What are the benefits we're receiving from staying stuck? What are the influences that we have? What are the thoughts we're thinking? Where are we at here? When we move into stage 4, there's really a place for grieving. And so many people think as they move into stage 4 that there's such a setback. Oh, I thought I was doing okay. Why am I so sad? Well, you're so sad because now you truly see that this is behind you. You've truly closed the chapter here and we're ready to write a new one. So there are very powerful experiential activities that we do to rewrite a new narrative so that what was becoming your life story is now a pivotal chapter of your next story. Hugely important in stage 4. Stage 4 is very action oriented, but not action oriented around the problem. We've turned our head to now look at the solution. What do I need? Who am I ready to become? What would best serve me? What am I open to? And it's a very new, very exciting space. And then as we move into stage 5, we have new relationships, we have new boundaries, we have new ideas about who we're ready to be in our health and our work and our relationships and all of it. And we're moving into this beautiful, new, evolved chapter of us where we're also firmly rooted and grounded as far as our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual selves.
Mm. Well, you're so clear in articulating all these stages and the different nuances of the process. And clearly it really comes from your own experience and working this process with so many people. So it's really helpful to hear everything you're sharing, Dr. Debi. And I also want to talk now about how people can go further and really learn and go through a process of transformation guided by you. So we are very excited and very blessed that Dr. Debi has agreed to teach a brand new program. It's called Post-Betrayal Transformation. Release the pain of the past, rebuild trust, and thrive. You can find it at the URL postbetrayalcourse.com. There's no dash in there, just postbetrayalcourse.com. It's a 7-week program. You don't have to have any specific background for this. It's just a recognition that there's an unhealed betrayal in you that needs to be healed and transformed and opening you to the possibilities that are in that for you. So I'd love for you to share in your own words, Dr. Debi, about what people will come away with and some of your intentions for the program. And then let's go give a tour of the modules.
Yeah, sure. So this is a deep dive into what transformation looks like, where, yes, I'll be teaching, but we're going to be doing so many experiential activities. So you have the practical experience of moving from the version of you that started before we met on that module to the version of you that you will be after. Because as great as the concepts are, having the practical experiences to move through them is such a game changer. So this is going to be, yes, teaching, but a very experiential and practical course where I'm giving you really the tools, the strategies, the exercises that have moved the needle for thousands and thousands and thousands of people that we've been blessed to help. So we start with the basics. What are the 5 stages from betrayal to breakthrough? Because I want you to know where you're
actually read out the module titles so people know, and then we can kind of go through them. So module 1 is called the 5 stages from betrayal to breakthrough, a roadmap for healing.
Mhm. And this is where I will tell you, I will share what are the 5 stages? What do they look like? Where are you? Where are you on the trajectory there? And there's no, there's no shame if you find you're in stage 3. Most people get stuck there. So it's so common. The beauty is there's a roadmap to heal from all of it, but you can't change what you're unaware of. So you're going to be very aware of what stage you are in right after the first module.
Module 2, nurture the betrayed body to reclaim your physical vitality.
Yeah, the body gets trashed. It just does. We have a suppressed immune system, accelerated aging. We have every stress related symptom, illness, condition, disease that starts showing up in stage 2. So we want to stop the process of keeping the stress response so highly engaged. We want to recreate some strategies that will turn that down. And according to this isn't creating this crazy workout program or anything. According to you, who you are, what you're ready for, how can we move the needle a little bit towards turning down that stress response, turning up the healing? So we're going to be creating together a routine, a practice, and a commitment, so that you do something that's just gentle and mild, but moves you towards healing.
Module 3, build emotional and mental resilience to develop mastery over your inner world.
Yeah. Mentally and emotionally, the thoughts that go through our head, and if you've been betrayed, we question ourselves, we question our judgment, the beliefs, we start believing maybe they're right, maybe I'm not this, maybe I'm not that. We're rewiring all of it. So we're taking on all of the thoughts, all of the beliefs that, when we think, oh, just change your actions and change your result, that's not true at all. The beliefs are the ones that are creating all of the actions. So we have to go under the hood, get to the beliefs, so we know what needs to change. So it'll automatically change the actions. It'll automatically change the results. We're going for all of it.
Module 4, rebuild trust and connection, create thriving, aligned relationships.
Yeah, it's no life if we can't trust, if we keep ourselves so distant from others. We're depriving ourselves of the connection, of the intimacy, of the friendship that we deserve. It's like, let's say you love cooking and you burn yourself on the stove and you're like, that's it, I'm never cooking again. That's not fair to you. But how do you rebuild that slowly and carefully and cautiously? It's with rebuilding trust. It's with rebuilding boundaries. We're taking it all on so that this new version of you knows how to go about creating friendships based on this level of you that you're becoming. You want friendships up here, we're going to create that. But how do you do that? It's not having thoughts from here and acting from here. We're bringing it to that stage 4, stage 5 level so that you can have stage 4, stage 5 friendships and relationships.
Module 5, reigniting purpose and passion, reclaim what lights you up.
So often I think we live our lives thinking, I should just do this. I'm not meant to just do that. And after betrayal, all bets are off. All old beliefs, all old everything. So what is it that you may have been told, oh, you could never do that, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't think that way, all of it. We're getting rid of all of that so we see what is it that now at this place and stage you're in right now you're willing to try. I have seen so many new passion projects and new things get birthed because of the version of us that we're creating coming out of the trauma, entering into the transformation.
Module 6, expanding possibilities in your career, creativity, and financial abundance.
Yeah. When you are lacking the confidence, you're lacking in self-trust, you're not showing up the way you need to. If you're promoting something new, if you're creating something new that you want to share with the world. So how do you get yourself to a position that what is the highest and best expression of you at this time? And how do we get you in the best position so that you share who you are, what you're doing in a way that is filled and fueled with love?
Beautifully shared. Module 7 then is integration, tools and practices to sustainably embody the authentic new you.
Yeah. We didn't do all this so that you're like, okay, that was a nice course. No, we're doing this so that you keep the momentum going. So we're going to be creating a 90-day plan to get all of this up and running. We're going to have just really, we're going to go through what does it take to keep that momentum, and what new skills, what new habits are in place so that we're building on the last, from the most simple of habits, because simple works, to ones that are maybe a bit challenging, but if you keep at it, and this becomes a new habit, it will take you so far. I mean, you hear how when a plane is off course, 1 degree, it could take you to a totally new place. So we're taking that 1 degree over time, and bringing you to somewhere so beautiful.
What a fantastic and really so well-grounded and useful program to be able to go through if you've experienced betrayal. So thank you for creating it, and a few other things about it. So again, the whole program is laid out in detail at post-betrayalcourse.com. If you choose to move forward, you'll get the 7 90-minute live sessions with Dr. Debi, which is going to include interactive exercises and Q&A time. And you'll also get recordings of every session, both video and audio, as well as word-for-word transcripts. All that's really helpful to be able to go back and pick up any practices, insights you might have missed or need to refresh around down the road. You'll all have weekly practices for home, and there's a Facebook community to support you and deepen your experience and share what you're learning as well. So there's on the page, you also see a number of extra bonuses that Debi has graciously contributed to your journey. There's a 1-hour video course called Post-Betrayal Syndrome Workshop. Dr. Debi, you want to share more about that?
It's a great workshop. I'm going to be taking you through the 5 stages. I'm going to be sharing the other 2 discoveries. You'll see exactly where you're at, and there are some it's very inspiring, because it's just a great way to open yourself up to, oh wow, you may not have even realized it was a betrayal, but it's been holding you back for decades, and we can't change what we're not aware of. So it's a very big eye-opening way to jumpstart your process.
Important mirroring there. The second bonus is a PDF guide from Dr. Debi called 12 Days to Reclaim Yourself. Want to share about that second bonus?
Yeah, that's just actionable strategies over the course of 12 days, just to wake things up, just to get things going, so you can start to retrain your mind and your body into a different way of thinking, acting, being.
And then there's a third bonus that is available just for those who sign up by midnight tonight. We like to do this as a little special encouragement for you to take the time to go through the whole course at postbetrayalcourse.com. And if you choose to move forward today, then you're going to get a full live fireside chat. This is an hour-long live Zoom session. It's a bonus session. Dr. Debi, you want to share a little bit about that live fireside chat?
I love these. This is open mic, and this is where I get to meet with you, hear about your story, share whatever I can to just help you on your journey. And it's just such a beautiful way for me to connect, and you'll learn you're not alone. You're not crazy. You could heal from all of it.
That's great. Well, that's your special incentive to sign up by end of today. So that's the live fireside chat bonus. So it's really going to be such a truly helpful program on every level. It's going to be transformational, grounded in the latest understanding psychologically, spiritually, and all of the experience that Dr. Debi has accumulated from working with thousands of people. So you're going to get the best pathway that we know to do a deep healing and transformation and move forward in a good way. We've kept the investment very accessible. It's just 3 payments of $128, or you save 10% when you pay in full, with 1 payment of $349. The course is going to begin June 25th and run Wednesdays at 1 Pacific, 4 Eastern. But even if you can't make the live times, you can still get the full value with the recordings, the transcripts, and the community as well. There's some great testimonials on the page you can read through from graduates of Dr. Debi's previous course at the Shift Network. I love this one. I don't know if I've ever been this happy before, Debi. I've been to 8 therapists in the last 2.5 years, tried EMDR, and nothing has worked until now. And Debi is all heart. She's a living, breathing example of what she teaches. Fantastic influence. Really stellar testimonials from your work with previous course participants. So I can assure everyone you're going to be in really good hands and come through with some real breakthrough transformations. And feel very confident of that, and I'm sure you are as well, Dr. Debi. So again, it's all at postbetrayalcourse.com, postbetrayalcourse.com. So we're nearing the end of our time. Anything that's still on your heart you want to share with folks that you haven't, and maybe a final invitation into the course?
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to seeing you, to seeing the version of you who is, listen, I have the most untrusting niche there is, rightly so. And just to see you willing to trust in yourself enough so that you can become the version of you that's just underneath the layers of fear, doubt, insecurity. And I just can't wait for you to meet and greet that person, because he or she is absolutely beautiful.
So beautifully shared. So thank you, Dr. Debi. Thank you all for joining, and many blessings to you all, and look forward to seeing many in the course. And again, it's all at postbetrayalcourse.com, and you'll get that special fireside chat if you sign up by midnight tonight. So thank you so much.
Thank you.